Every week on the Working in Tech podcast, we bring you amazing folks. I'm talking, VPs, directors of engineering, directors of cloud, and all that jazz. But I've almost never been as excited to have someone on the show as today, because the guest today is really who I'm trying to inspire, and the journey that she's on is exactly what I hope everybody will be on, and you're gonna figure it out in a minute. She's currently working on AWS certification, building projects in the cloud, quantum computing, all of that amazing stuff. She's experienced very clearly, but pivoting at the same time. Welcome to the podcast, Des.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you for
When
having
I
me.
first encountered you on TikTok, I was just really eh, impressed and excited by your learning journey, right? How you were learning in public, how you were putting yourself out there, and how you were sharing your knowledge with the world. What really inspired you to do that?
Ooh. Well, for me, it's kind of two-pronged. So, first, when I decided to invest in the boot camp, I was like, all right, I'm 100% in. I'm going to do everything the advisors tell me to do, the instructors tell me to do. And so, one of the advisors said, hey, you really need to start writing articles. It's a great way to get your work in front of recruiters and to connect with other developers out there and develop a community and a network.
Mm,
So I was like, all right. They invited me to their LinkedIn page. So I saw a lot of articles. They were very technical. They had really not a lot of personality in them. They were just very technical. I built a web application. So I started writing, but I started writing from a personal point of, well, I'm building this type of application because I felt this need, or I wrote about my struggles in the boot camp. And I was posting these articles on
mm.
medium.com and then sharing them to my LinkedIn. And I got so many responses from women, but from women of color, like, thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for showing your story. It wasn't just success, success, success. It was losses and fails and just my real journey. And so that is what really inspired me to continue to do outreach and just show people that this is a possible path for them. The second prong is, I'm doing this a little later in my career. So I wish I would have did it 10 years ago,
Mm.
15 years ago. But I didn't see someone like me in this journey. I didn't see anybody like me on LinkedIn. That currently wasn't my network. They weren't on my YouTube. So I didn't see any kind of techie, brown girl techie. So I just didn't have any representation to show me this was a possible career path for me.
Mm.
So, for me, I just want to be able to show the real journey and inspire other women of color, because I think the number is currently still under 3% that we represent in the IT field.
Mm.
And I'm like, let's go in and make our stamp. We have innovative ideas, we can build them ourselves. So I just wanted to be someone out there showing another person of color that this is a possible journey and roadmap for you as well.
It's so beautiful that you say that, because so many times, like, just giving all of that I got going on, work, school, career, everything else, there's so many times I feel like giving up. It's like, you know what, there's Tanika, there's Simone, they're doing great work, let me not do
Mhm.
it. But back to your last point, it's like we're so far back, like the opportunity to grow is so much that it's gonna literally have to take a village. So even if you only have one little corner and you're doing your own little thing there, understand that even if you only end up impacting one or two people, that's one or two people more who would have known about it that wouldn't have known. So I really appreciate you being vulnerable in that way, and also sharing your journey.
Thank you.
So one of the things that we're talking about backstage is like how you are new to the tech side, but not new to tech.
Correct.
What got you interested in tech to even begin with?
Well, I say that I've always been a little techie, a little in the computers. I am of the generation of the Black Planet page and the MySpace. And I always wanted the music. I wanted the latest song, the banner, the rolling text. And I literally went to, baby Google, because it was baby Google at the time, and said, how do I get this rolling text on my MySpace page? And I didn't know I was using HTML to build the back end of a page. I had no idea. But, copy paste, figure out the colors, all that stuff. So that came naturally. But I've always been really good with computers and systems.
Mm,
And that was always been a kind of asset to me in all of my jobs is I can learn any operational system within a week. I can
mm,
be up and running, knowing how to do whatever procedure. And usually back then it was accounting. So I can learn the systems in and outs, backdoors, workarounds. And that kind of got me interested. I was like, okay, I'm good at this. So I always use that when I interviewed for jobs.
mm,
But I think for me, when I finally realized this was a path, was in my consulting role. They gave us just enough access to the back end to be dangerous. And, we were doing a lot of processes manually. And I'm like, well, I can write an SQL to do this. And I did it. And we actually started kind of charging for things like that. So I was like, okay, well, I have other ideas where we can make advancements, but it was never a priority. So that's what kind of inspired me to finally stop sitting on my behind and stop saying, okay, next week, next month, next quarter, I'm really going to focus and dig in. I'm like, I could be an asset to an organization to build these workarounds because A, I have the experience of being the worker. If you
mm,
take a second to think about it, developers, if they just went straight to into developing, they never had to use an accounting system
mm,
or a legal system. So they don't really know how the user needs to interact with it. But someone
mm,
who's worked through their way to get to a certain point understands, okay, well, if I need a certain workflow in an accounting, why are we doing it this way? It's more efficient to do it this way. But if it's working and it's not broken, a lot of organizations don't want to make those kind of improvements. So again, that's just why I started my journey. I want to be that person to build efficient workflow solutions. So
mm.
kind of
You touched on something that I almost wanted you to break down because you talk about it almost at at 10,000 feet, but I wanted to bring it down.
okay.
What is the asset that someone who already has a career, could be in tech, could be outside of tech,
Mhm.
going into tech or even in a technical role? What kind of asset is that, and why should that almost be an encouragement instead of a discouragement?
Um, because you never know who's looking for that type of skill. As I stated, I was an accountant, former accountant, hated it, hated it, hated it. But yet, every on the fringe tech job that I've had has been with an accounting firm or an accounting software company. Or right now, I'm doing ERP testing on an accounting software being implemented for a huge organization. So, and I was sought out for those roles because of my accounting skill. So just if you are a plumber, from a bus driver, from a waiter, you have a skill set that you can apply in tech and you can make that your springboard to land into the industry and also build a flourishing career. Somebody needs your skill. As you
Mm,
can see, AI is trying to take over. I don't believe it. That's another conversation for another day. But if people are going more towards tech, you see people no longer having paperwork. Everybody has a tablet now. There's efficient ways to get types of paperwork from the tablet back to the home base.
mm.
There are ways that you can implement yourself into tech. It's not just, I need to do this to go work for Google or Facebook or Meta. There are smaller businesses and startups that need your skill.
I hold that thought because I'm coming right back to it.
All right.
But I just want to give a quick shout out to Bukwala. It says hi, hi. So hi to you. And the quick one that I wanted to almost come back to straight away is you touch on something really powerful that I think that most people miss out on. Technology in the real world, they're not different. It's the same.
Mhm.
In fact, any tech that you build that goes against the laws of nature or what we do on a day to day is gonna fail. If you think about the NFTs
Mhm.
and the blockchain outside of like um Bitcoin and Ethereum and all those maybe little other coins,
Yeah.
it doesn't really work. And it's not because the technology is not sound. The technology is sound,
Mhm.
but the human need for it is not sound,
Correct.
right? We thought that many years ago, all of the fact that art was gonna go completely digital. You're not gonna have those houses selling, you know, $10 million banana on the wall paintings, but it's still happening today.
Mhm.
And the point is this: it's because no matter how ridiculous you think those things are, someone has carefully orchestrated that to make sense.
Mhm.
And because it makes sense, you can't just tear it away so easily, right?
Yep.
In the same way, it's like if technology doesn't work and serve the people, it's going to fail. So the fact that you already have expertise in some area and bringing that to tech makes you just extremely qualified, at least more than the person who just has a skill but doesn't understand how it's supposed to work.
Mhm.
And just knowing versus not knowing can be completely different because think about it this way. You're a bus driver, let's say, who's now becoming a software engineer.
Yep.
You're do what that to do that is hard. But
Yeah.
it's way harder for a software engineer to go become a bus driver.
Yep.
I actually heard a story one time, and this was trending where DoorDash was forcing their employees to do at least one delivery per month,
Oh wow.
so they could understand what the drivers were going through, what the experience was like. But the point is, even doing one delivery does not tell. I mean, it does. It's better than zero deliveries,
Yeah.
but it doesn't tell
True.
you everything.
No.
Like, what happens when it's raining and you forgot your bag at home? What happens? Like, there's so many different things. Like, there's so many permutations. Like, you might have, of course, you'll have a bit more appreciation for it, but
Mhm.
not a lot more than somebody who's done that day to day.
Yes. 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 And that's another area I would love to say is like be a consultant, like offer your services, have that conversation with the IT team. I think both sides needs to be open to have those conversations. I
Mm,
think a lot of IT teams can be closed off
mm,
and they don't want to hear
mm,
suggestions or want to hear feedback from the actual users unless
mm,
something is physically broken that is going to impact you actually doing the job.
mm,
But that is something I've advocated on almost every job is, hey, can we get a meeting with the developers at least like once a month? I'm not
mm,
asking for every week, but once a month, once a quarter, where we can give them feedback because they're just rolling out these changes and updates and enhancements. And but are they really like I said, fringes? So I'm delivering them and then I'm getting the feedback. So
mm,
I have to spin the story. I'm trying to tell you exactly what's happening, and it's if it's not broke, then put it on the list and maybe we'll look at it.
mm,
So I think also just validating that bus driver who became a software engineer, well, now he can go work for the city of transportation or the transportation for the city and come up with a more efficient route. Like, oh, well, I've drove this route. Let me go ahead. Or maybe I'm a driver. I would love to have a tablet with my
mm,
route versus,
mm.
the manual way of doing check ins or something like that. Like,
Yep.
you know,
And even thinking about how things go wrong, like I remember there was like a little bit of a horror story where people were in a Waymo, I think, and I think something happened. It stopped in the middle of a freeway and wouldn't let them out, right? Again, someone who probably has dealt with a situation like that, and I'm sure they've ran tests, they've done things, but the challenge is of course, now that they've had that experience, they'll figure out a way. Because the reason why they even make sure that the car is locked is so that somebody doesn't hop out in the middle of the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
But even that safety feature almost became a liability. And the
Mm-hmm.
sad part was, oh, there was also someone who the car wouldn't stop at the airport. So he kept looping around. And I'm like, I'm literally about to miss my flight. Can you just let me out? And the support person was on the phone, but it wasn't happening. Like you couldn't stop the car, you couldn't do any of that. And it's like really engineered it to really solve for certain specific problems
Mm-hmm.
while missing some super extremely obvious ones. And again, of course, maybe experience doesn't solve for many of the things I just described, but experience can play a role in solving it in the general space. So going back to like your experience and your journey, what are the things that you did was actually focusing on, how could you make this jump and make this switch and actually committing to it? I've kind of like had also like a mid career switch, if you like, because I went from being an entrepreneur to kind of like working corporate. But I feel like that's a bit more natural. So for a lot of people who are making like 180 pivots, what advice would you give anybody in that kind of situation?
Whew. Number one, be patient. I am same. When I am 100% in something, I am 100% enthused. I'm going to study after work. I'm going to study on my lunch hour. I'm going to put like the whole throttle pedal to the metal. I'm going all the way in. And then that lasts like 2 weeks. For me, it lasted through the introductory courses because, of course, I've taken so many self paced ones that I eased through the fundamentals. But when I got to the actual first one, the cloud practitioner, I was like, whoa, this is kind of a lot. And then I started to go back to my old ways.
Hmm.
So I would say be patient with yourself and pace yourself. It's not a race. I put that imaginary clock on myself. I'm going to do this in a year. I'm going to finish these courses faster than the recommendation because I'll give you a perfect example, the AI. I thought I was going to do the AI course and take the exam in 30 days, and that thing says take 1 to 3 months to prepare. And what happened? I took 30 days. I failed it by 4 questions, but even though it was only four, I still failed. So I took another 2 weeks and then I went back, took it again, and I passed it. But I took a whole nother month just to go over that material and reabsorb everything.
Hmm.
So don't put that imaginary clock. Don't say I got to finish a certification every quarter. Like, do your race at your speed,
Hmm.
and stay consistent. I think consistency, it would be point number two. If you only have 15 minutes, do the 15 minutes. Sometimes I've only had 30 minutes and I end up doing an hour, hour and a half because now I'm
Hmm.
in it, or I'm just so tired. If I'm so tired, I can easily put on the videos and then do the labs the next day.
Hmm.
But doing something every day to stay consistent is very important.
Hmm. That is
And
major key right there.
yes,
That is major key. Sorry, go ahead.
you're good. I would say three is it is okay to fail. I wish there was a way that you could like fail as a part of a test or a course so you get like that feeling. But as someone who's failed the cloud practitioner when I went to go take it, because I thought I was, I had this in the bag. And I went totally studied the wrong things, not paying attention to the course material like it told me to do. And so it's like, it's okay to fail. Just keep going. Like, that nobody's going to point their finger at you and laugh. There's no ridicule, there's no embarrassment. Just do it again and keep going. So yeah, just and keep going. That would be my last point. Keep going. I know it's hard. Take a break. I take a week every now and then. I'll take a week, but keep going. Okay.
You said all of those so perfectly. Like it's interesting. We've put out like a lot of advice that's kind of like similar to that, and it's goading. It's really real. Like I was watching a video yesterday that was talking about having something around like how consistency builds up success. and it was showing a curve to where like your motivation is extremely high,
Mhm.
but the result is low,
Mhm.
right? So you
Mhm.
go up, and then when you literally, but the result is usually a lagging indicator, right? And tests are the perfect example of this because sometimes, like, at least this is my experience, to your point, failure is sometimes even a better result or indicator because a lot of the times we get either anxious, uh, arrogant,
Mhm.
not even to anybody else, but just to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a result has a way of grounding you because it's objective reality,
Yes.
and it forces you and refocuses you to do the right thing.
Yes.
The challenge is so many people are so crippled by the failure that they keep pushing it down. And I'm giving myself a side eye right now because I've had my security plus for like maybe 6 months at this point, even though I have a million other things, but that's not an excuse to have not gotten it done. But that's the thing. It's like I almost am looking for that perfect moment to go do
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
But the point is, like, the truth is, there will never be that perfect moment. So
No.
I might as well take those 30 minutes, 1 hours here and there to
Yep.
just go do it. And the interesting thing is, I've actually never failed a certification. So it's like, what am I even afraid of? Right.
Yeah.
Plus, I bought like the 2 exam package one
Mhm.
already built in for failure. So it's like, why? But
Yep.
that's the thing. It's like I'm giving myself the excuse. And that's the
Mhm.
story from so many people, right? It's
Yeah.
like, are you giving yourself a chance to actually succeed, or are you already setting yourself up in some way and then using that as an excuse to actually not go do what you're supposed to do?
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you right now, like I told you, I was gung ho through the beginning. After I took the first certification, the second time and passed, I took 3 weeks before I hopped into the next one because then it was like, okay, I succeeded. Now I have to keep going.
Mm,
And that is when I actually started my first 30 days series because I needed something to motivate me to do
mm,
this every single day. But
mm,
even when you succeed, you get afraid of the success or what that could mean. And, that can also make you procrastinate and stall out.
mm, mm,
That is me 100%. I'm just afraid of what is going to happen. I was afraid to put out the channel, start the TikTok. What is going to happen? And to be quite honest, it's for me. That was a way for me to absorb my material and put it out, and maybe I'm helping someone else.
mm,
But, as I get the responses of, oh my gosh, keep going. Oh, you've motivated me to start studying again. Like that has been rewarding, but honestly, I do it for me because
mm,
that's the kind of learner I am. I know it's a little selfish, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, let me get the content out here. Let me motivate someone else to look up AWS because
mm,
virtually everything, about 85% of AWS is free. You can learn this for free. And they're offering so many packages now that you can just start to learn it. So if someone is a self motivator and they don't need a boot camp or, they can set their own deadlines and stick to them, take that opportunity and just give it a try.
You talked about some things actually, around 30-day challenges,
Mm-hmm.
around, um, what was the other one?
Willing to succeed.
Around also
Succeed.
putting content out,
Mm-hmm.
around things like that. How important is it to have models like that, or some accountability factors that are external to you? Because motivation is overrated, right? Like,
Yes, very. I just read a quote that said motivation is overrated. Consistency is what matters and what makes it
yeah.
go. Um, for me, I will definitely say I'm still getting the hang of the content. So now what I'm putting out now is actually I've already learned. Like I've already did that section of the course. I've already got my notes. I got my flashcards. I passed the little quizzes. And so now that's when I'll do the content. Before I was trying to do it at the same time, and that was another area of why I just messed up my AI exam the first time as well because I'm
Mm,
doing content, but I'm also trying to study and then do content on the stuff I just did. So I did not have the right kind of schedule. But I was like,
Mm,
I'm going to try something new. I'm going to do my material. So I took a month. I did not post a
mm,
lot in August. And I focused on getting a month's worth of the course done. And then now that's the material that I'm putting out. So for me, it helps me because it helps me, number one, I want to put good quality content. Again, I am here to inspire other Black women. That is my main priority, but other Black and Brown people who want to get into tech. And
mm,
so I just want to show them it's not easy and it's a journey. I will forever call it a journey, a learning journey. I always say, I'm never done. Just
mm,
because when I get to my last certification, I'm going to be like, okay, what's next? So, I mean, but content and educational and just trying to get in your flow, give it a go. But if you needed a way to be self accountable,
mm,
this is how I hold myself self accountable, especially when I see the number of followers as they grow. Then it's like, all right, I don't want to let them down, which
mm,
means I need to study this first so I can just explain it. Because at the same time, I don't want to be a poser. I don't want to be out here faking it. I am
mm,
trying to get to a certain point. This is my real journey. So I'm going to show you yes material, and I said I was going to start being just a little more personable. I was scared to kind of show that outside of just being techie because I wasn't trying to be an influencer. I was just trying to get the message out. But now I just want to tell people, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to walk down to this office after coming in from a whole day at the office, the main office, to come in here and study for 2 hours. But I put on my Law and Order, I get my fuzzy slippers on, and I come down here and I just study and I do. And now sometimes I will literally put on a timer and I'll be looking at that phone like, come on, count down, count down. I want to get out of here. So I want to show more of the real side. But I mean, I'm really not sure how I want to answer this question. There's just so many angles that I could give it to you from.
that is so interesting, right? Even the thing about a timer is like one of the things that I've realized is that it's not easy for anybody, even the people who make it look easy, right? Because like, trust me, there's a million and one things that you would rather be doing
Mhm,
than doing that. But
mhm.
it's almost like, when people say it's for the greater good, like you recognize that it's important to do this, right? And as a result, you lock in. In
Yeah.
fact, literally, like that's my new like content series I want to be posting. It's like
Okay.
lock in. Like it's so I've been inspired by just seeing this tweets that were, where people saying like what's the most unhinged thing that you did to succeed? And
Yeah.
like people were just sharing it. It's like you literally have to be unhinged. Like
Yeah.
literally, like
Yeah.
everybody wants it, like, but who wants it the most? And the funny thing is that I realized is that nobody appreciates hustle more than successful people
Mm.
because they can recognize it. They see a lot of themselves in that. So it's
Yeah.
like, bet I see that. Okay, I see you. And that's why, like, you see, like, it doesn't happen often, but even if you look at music or
Mhm.
sports, there's gonna be that executive somewhere that's gonna see someone and just literally go to bat and say, I want that. Like, because it just connects. Like you see that also, you see that grind. You're like, oh my God, like this guy's gonna do it. And people connect to that. The challenge is most people connect to it after it's happened. But
Mhm.
a lot of people, that's why they're the executives, that's why they make the money. It's like they can see that. They
Yeah.
see it in the rough, they see it when it's not being developed because they know this person is gonna make it with or without me. I
Mhm.
better like co-sign this and then we can grow together.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I can see that. I agree.
So in terms of um opportunities and getting a job, I want to kind of like take you back a little bit. Like talk to me about your first tech job or tech opportunity. What was that like?
It was a blessing and it was a lucky opportunity. So I was in the break room, and a friend had called me. They were having an issue with their computer, And I was working for the local government here at the city. And so I'm just helping her through and walking her through steps to, get it fixed because she had some presentation she needed to do. And my chief was in there, and then he like heard me. And then, so, I just thought it was a regular conversation. Later that day, he called me in his office and he was like, "Hey, we need a systems administrator." Currently, it was the oldest. I worked for the risk management department. So it was the oldest claims adjuster who was retiring after 35 years. She was
Wow.
running the system and also doing the claims adjusting. And she was retiring, and they needed somebody just to do the system because the system needed work, 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 work. So I was like, sure, I can do that. He was like, okay, good. So I got to train with her for 2 weeks, and then she retired, and then I took over. I had no idea what a systems administrator was. That was the title, systems administrator, but I figured it out. So I quickly learned that our current system was not great. It was horrible. Data was corrupted and crossed, and it was just ridiculous. And after several conversations with our company, it was always, oh, we can't do this or we can't do that. And the funny thing was, they invited us to their conference for all their customers. You know how they do that. And then they show all the new products. So we were excited. We were like, we want this, 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 that. Oh, well, you guys can't do that because the way your data is set up, it's like that Kevin Hart skit. Like the way my bank account is set up. I'm like, mm-mm. So finally, I was like, hey, we need a new system. And he said, I can get you a new system, but you have to do the implementation. You by yourself, you don't get anybody else. Can you do
Wow.
that? And I said, absolutely. So I took on that challenge. It was a year implementation, and that's when I fell in love. So that's when I found implementation consulting and engineering.
Wow.
And so after that project was done, I stayed there about another year, year and a half. And then I finally sought out my first implementation consultant because I thought that's what I wanted to do,
Mhm.
was do the consulting on the behalf of the company and not be the recipient or the customer.
Mm.
And then that's when I learned that, oh, well, we're just delivering kind of a box packaged software.
Mm.
Like, where's the customization? Where is the, attention to detail for each particular customer? Instead of customizing to the customer, we're making the customer fit in our box.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, this is great, but I'd rather design and build to the customer versus trying to make everyone fit into the same box.
Mm.
So that's where it started for me professionally.
That is so interesting, right? Because it's interesting. Like I've been in so many like build versus buy conversations, and like even the conversations with like different vendors and working with vendors and things like that. And that's something that I've seen to be a challenge. Is that a lot of times you have to almost like first of all like each company even in terms of the acquisition strategy will be different. Sometimes companies want specific technology to watch specific ways. Some others need a bit more customization to their own needs,
Mhm.
and in between, right? Like there's never like a right or wrong strategy, but you almost have to kind of like figure out what kind of company it is or what kind of like vendor you want to be, because there's also a challenge to where like if you're the kind of vendor who's providing like hyper personalized, hyper specific, hyper customized, you will spend a lot of time like almost trying to meet every use case without necessarily being able to grow your business because you're too in the weeds. And that's why companies will typically charge extra to maybe like give you like a couple of developers who can then help, you
Yep.
know, tweak it and make it come to your standard, etc.
Yep. And I'll just point out that is another way of also using the skill set, right?
Mm,
Because I was the customer when I first ran into an implementation. So that
mm,
helped me again get implementation jobs because I could speak from a customer standpoint. and say, hey, well, I know how to ask a customer certain questions to get the, back in detail, or what kind of functionality, workflows, efficiencies that they're looking for,
Mm,
versus what are your standard requirements, what data are we moving.
mm.
Like, we have to get into those type of conversations, especially the more advanced the technology is going to be. So
So, question for you: if someone who's first of all, is consulting even an option for someone who's just getting into tech?
absolutely. Absolutely. I think implementation roles are basically customer service, and they will teach you how to deliver the software. It just depends. Like at my couple jobs ago, I was more technical. So I was one of two consultants who we did the technical side as well as the customer facing implementation side. And
Mm,
then we had about 16 others who just did the customer side.
mm,
So, absolutely, you can transition from customer service, from whatever industry. Consulting is a good way to get into the industry, especially if you're not going with cybersecurity. Because I've watched all the cybersecurity, start at the help desk. Well, I don't want to be in cybersecurity. That's just not my thing. So, there are other ways to break in. And also, it's going to help you in the long run. I think a lot of the complaints that I hear nowadays from a lot of companies is a lot of people are missing soft skills.
mm.
Nobody really knows how to have that conversation, whether it's a difficult or a deep dive technical, or be able to translate what the DevOps are saying to the stakeholders or the customers. And I see that lack a lot. So, in order to be able to enhance that skill, as well as get your foot into tech and see, hey, is this the right area? Consulting would be definitely a role to seek out.
Absolutely, I like that. And want to just give a quick heads up. We hope you're have enjoying the conversation. Please feel free to leave any questions for Des in the chat. We'll be more than happy to take them. And you touched on something that I almost want to go back to, right? It's something that I've struggled with because my content when it comes to tech is very like broad. Like I'm not specific in any area because I've always had the view that people should be able to choose their tech careers, right?
Yeah.
But I've seen other people who are either focused on data, security, governance, risk management, etc., which are all valid roles, by the way. But it almost like potentially it has the potential to pigeonhole people to think that that's the only pathway.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of like said, I think you also have the school of thought of almost like you don't have to do a specific role.
Correct.
I want to know if that's how you feel about it. And then if the goal is not to do any specific role, is there a model to think about what roles to do?
Yes and yes. I'll use myself. When I started this journey, it was DevOps for me. I wanted to do DevOps, DevOps, DevOps. And it was my third month into the boot camp, and we had the opportunity to have this great professor come in. He's been working in the military for over 30 years. He's been using AI since 30 years because it's been around that long in the military. And he came in and did a class on AI, just a 2 hour general overview. And I fell in love. I fell in love, but I didn't want to be too hasty. So I did my own research on AI, what are good fields to get into, machine learning, data engineering, so many options out there. But I knew that that was my track. Like I felt the pull, I felt the passion, I felt my curiosity like clawing at me. Like, guess what we could build with a machine learning the certification and learning how to use those pipelines instead of the regular data pipelines.
Mm,
Um, and it really kind of opened the door to another sector of tech that I really hadn't thought seriously about.
mm,
So I changed my path. I am no longer on a DevOps path. I'm on a AI machine learning engineering path.
mm,
Um, So, and to speak to someone who doesn't know, I would say, great, you don't know. You will get that pull. You are going to be asked to build so many projects. Um, you're going to learn so much material, but the key is you're learning fundamentals. Like you're always going to start at the fundamentals. So you don't need to know what you want to do with it just yet when you're just starting to learn Python, when you're just doing the intro to fundamentals to cloud. Like
Mm,
you don't have to know, but you will get inspired by a talk or something you see on LinkedIn, maybe YouTube, maybe on TV. But I would just say stay open and attend every networking opportunity, every speaker that they have available. They have speakers all the time all over LinkedIn that you can attend for free. Use
mhm,
your Eventbrite and your Meetup apps. They got local tech groups having talks. Like just expose yourself to the IT field itself, and you will discover what you have a passion for.
mhm,
You don't have to just say, well, it's got to be cybersecurity because there's so many people getting into cybersecurity and I can get paid, or GovTech. I have so many people ask me about GovTech, and I'm like, I don't even kind of know what GovTech is because I never deep dove into it.
mhm,
Um, so I would say I don't get flattered or don't get excited by what you see someone else have in their success. Just
mhm,
focus on you and what you like to do. Literally, what do you like to do? Because if it's fashion, there's fashion tech, there's
mhm,
fintech, there's
mhm,
sports tech.
mhm,
There's so many avenues that you could go down and expose yourself to. And before you even know it, you're going to meet the right person, you're going to meet the right group, or you're going to meet the right teacher, but something is going to get you to your end goal.
mhm. You know, you say a lot of like great points that I almost want to echo. And again, like I have deep respect for everybody like sharing tech advice and like helping people because I do recognize also like, to be honest, if you really want to make impact at scale, you almost have to dumb down the advice, right? Like you
Mhm,
can't, if you are speaking too abstract, like, oh, pick a role, do this, like people don't get it, you know. But if you say something like GovTech or like, you know,
mhm.
Clarent, or you say some of those things, like it feels more concrete because now people go do their research on it.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is like it pigeonholes people. Like
Yes.
I could come out and say fintech and be going on and on and on about it and talk about all the companies. But the challenge is tech is the category. It doesn't need another category because the beautiful thing is if you're a security expert and you understand security well, you can work at any company. You can work
Mhm.
in FANG, you can work in government, you can work at a local government,
Yes.
you can work in SaaS, you can work literally anywhere. And I think, especially given the kind of job market we have today, you're better off being able to fit multiple holes. Like I'll give an example. Like if you think about ServiceNow and how that was hot last year and 2 years ago, it's
Mhm.
not anymore.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
not anymore. And that's the problem. It's like if you're like a ServiceNow developer that only knows their database and
Mhm.
nothing else,
Yes.
you're gonna struggle. And the better approach is, for example, maybe it's more challenging to learn the cloud without learning like AWS or Azure.
Mhm.
But even if you're learning to become like an Azure architect, learn to be an architect, not an Azure architect, even
Yes.
if Azure is the technology you learn.
Yes.
Because by being agnostic, even when you're learning the platform, so and and the difference is like you're still learning the platform, like that's why you're learning. But the difference is, are you thinking about it? Let's say, for example, let me go to AWS. Like, are you thinking about it as S3 buckets, or are you thinking about storage?
Mhm.
And are you thinking about like the different kinds of storage? Are
Mhm.
you thinking about okay, where what is like the structured database? What is the unstructured database? How do we handle that? Like, are you thinking at a level beyond just the specific tools that are there? Like,
Yep.
what's the data warehouse? How does that work? How do
Mhm.
we connect the different sources? How are we doing it in integration layers? How are we like you have to think almost, and I loved it. We talked about this. Like, you have to think like a systems thinker. right?
Yes.
Don't be stuck on the tools. The tools are interchangeable.
Yes.
All of the major cloud providers have the same version of the same things
Yep.
because those become table stakes in the industry. Everybody wants it.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, let's even say you get your first job as an Azure developer, very quickly you can go get the AWS cert and be at the same level very quickly. And now you're a multi-cloud
Yes.
architect.
Yes. And I'll even say to you, you don't even have to go get the certification if you don't want to. Like
Exactly.
my past job was all Azure. So I know Azure. The boot camp that I selected just happened to be AWS, but I was trying to learn Azure. I wasn't even trying to learn AWS, but it's the same. They just call them different things, but it's the
Yeah.
same thing. So just picking that also is not a big deal. I see people get really hung up. Should I do Google? Should I do this? I say whoever's giving you a free certification test that's and a free course, go for it. Like that is who you need to go with because like you said, everything is interchangeable. You can get the additional certifications if you need it, but literally just go and build a project. You don't even have to like it's the same concept. So I am there with you 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Chimereze. Welcome to the stream. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat. And it's so amazing that you kind of like said that, and I wish that this will become a lot more obvious to people. You know, even back to the original point that we were making, one of the things that I found to be very useful about being passionate, right? Like you kind of like did in your journey to saying it's AI or nothing, AI will bust for me. It is so powerful to be that way. Getting into tech is hard, especially in 2025. Learning the skills is hard, right? You have to understand we're not 17, right?
No.
With just free time. We have
No.
lives, we have jobs. Like we're doing it hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different if I give you the blueprint and tell you go be a product manager.
Mm-hmm.
But I will do things. I'm literally the only reason why I'm in school getting my MBA is because I believe it's gonna make me a better product manager. So I'm spending literally like tens of thousands of dollars flying 3 times every week just to be better at this thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is what like, and that's the thing. It's like I could literally be doing anything else. I am investing in myself at this rate because I genuinely believe that it's gonna make me better.
Yeah.
Nobody told me. My boss didn't tell me at work to go do it. Like my mom didn't call me and say go do it. I did it. And that's the thing. It's like the first person who needs to be bought in into the decision is you.
Yes.
And that's why you need to do your own research.
Yes.
Again, doing the research is finding someone who's telling you to do cybersecurity or whatever, but peel it down, go down the level. And I always tell people like, if you want to do this right, first of all, go even just write down who you are to ChatGPT. What have you done? Have you done accounting? Have you done all these things?
Mm-hmm.
If you hate accounting, tell it that. And then say, based on this that you know about me, what job should I do?
Yeah.
Because if you, it doesn't even mean that it's going to get you there.
Yeah.
And I use like this multiple sources approach is that then if you figure out like top three, top five, go watch a bunch of day in the lives on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
All the content is there.
Yep.
They'll tell you about, and then you can watch even like the frustrating part. And we all watch YouTube, whether it's for like entertainment videos or like clips of like Kai Sinat or whoever else.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of watching that, watch this.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have way more information about those different roles than you did before. Because if you're going to invest the next 5, 6, 7, 8 months of your life into learning this, like, and trust me, like that's the boring part. Doing this research is actually the fun part because you're getting to choose which one do I want. Like you're taking,
Mm-hmm.
think about them as cars. You're taking them for the test drive. Like you could buy a sedan, you could
Mm-hmm.
buy a minivan, you can buy an SUV,
Yeah.
you could buy a drop top, right? There's no terrible car. That's not the point.
Yeah.
But the point is for your lifestyle, right? Because you know, if you're a soccer mom, do you want a minivan? Like buy the thing. Like you don't want a drop top if you're a soccer mom. It
Yeah.
just kind of like doesn't work. You know,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. I get
that
you.
that's kind of like the point. It's like you're not doing that for anybody else. You're really doing it for you because
Yeah.
if you get it right at that level, at that stage, everything else will work at
Yes.
that level. Because let me put it this way, right? Even like from your strategy consulting and all the things that you've done, it shows that you're a people person. The fact that you make content, if you even though you're technical, you're still going to look for roles at the end of the day that put you at the intersection of people and technology.
Hmm.
If you go do like some deep implementation or like I just want to be in the code, you're not going to be happy because that's not you. So even though you want to be technical, you still want to be at that level. It's like I want to take what the people are telling me, and even you said it right, like we don't want to be with the developers all the time, but can we at least talk to them a month? Like
Yeah.
the funny thing is, in you, like the metadata of what you want to do in your career is already there in you. Like, and you can bring it out. We all have it.
Yes. Yes.
And when you work, one of the things I've realized in life, tell me if this is true for you as well, is that when you do the thing that you're naturally good at, you have an unfair advantage.
Yes. Yes. That, and I want to add, stop downplaying your advantage. That is something that I did a lot and I still do. I have to kind of talk myself out of it, but
Mm,
stop downplaying. Like I can come up with a workflow, with a process, or how to make something very efficient if you walk me through it. I ask the right questions. I'm gonna be like, well, da 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 da. But I used to say, oh, well, everybody can do that, right? Well, you would have thought of that, right? And people were like, no, we that's why it's broken. Like, no, you have to like. So I did that for a very long time in every role. I just never took the accolades, downplayed everything, and just not taking the applause because it's
mm,
like, oh, I don't want the spotlight.
mm,
So, I mean, absolutely. I think that also you say YouTube, right?
mhm,
And I just want to say, with a little asterisk, but don't go down the rabbit hole because
mm.
you know how many cloud engineering YouTubes I have watched before I pulled the trigger. If I scrub the history, it'll be in the double digits. So, yes, once you feel that spark, put a plan together. Because I
Mm,
know how it is. It's like, all right, well, I'll think of something or I'll look into that next week, but I'm gonna keep watching this engineering video or how to get into engineering or if I could start my career over, these are the steps that I would take. I've watched so many of those before I actually pulled the trigger.
mm,
So yes, don't feel pigeonholed into. All I really want to say is don't feel pigeonholed into cybersecurity because I feel like that's the kick right now. Is everybody
mm.
needs to get into cybersecurity? And I'm like, there's
Yep.
other things outside of cybersecurity. I tried cybersecurity. I got that book over here, the gold one. If anybody needs it, please let me know. It's free. But I tried it. And I was like, yeah, no, this ain't for me. I don't
Yep.
want to know networks and TCP and all like I don't want to know that deep on that side. Like, no, you gotta make that secure and then give it to me. So
Yep.
but I think it's just oversaturated with cybersecurity right now that you can
Mhm,
do any and everything. And cybersecurity is, detailed. Like
mhm.
you really, really getting down in the weeds. So I think that would also deter some people, right? Because they feel
Yep.
like they're not going to understand the concepts behind them.
Yep. And that's the beauty of it too. It's like again, I think even that the baseline is still that interest and that desire
Hmm.
to really get good at it because
Yeah.
people talk about cybersecurity like but I almost feel like risk management is even bigger than cybersecurity, even though it is an arm of
Hmm.
cybersecurity, because
Hmm.
risk is such a huge thing, especially
Hmm.
in fintech and healthcare, in all those places, because everybody knows HIPAA, everybody knows all that. It's not really as much as a security element, and it is a risk framework that you're even putting in place.
Hmm.
And a lot of companies would actually, because the assumption with risk is that you can't solve for risk 100%. Like there's no 100% every risk is eliminated.
Hmm.
And that's where people who get really good can do the work there. There was somebody like, and it's funny, it's like people don't even know like you can be really good at cybersecurity naturally.
Yeah.
Someone that I know who's a cybersecurity uh, engineer was telling me like how blown away they were with one of their colleagues who's always just saying the most random things because
Mhm.
in the best way they have a broken mind.
Yeah.
So it's like they'll say, "What about that?" And everybody will look like, "How? How do you even think about that?"
Exactly. Yep. Same.
And that is the thing. It's like
Yep.
they are in there, they found their dream career
Hmm.
because they're broken. You have to think about it. It's like the biggest thing that I think about when I think about stuff like this is like we've all seen that like spy detective movie where there's this case where they can't solve it. And the guy is going and it picks up a donut and it sees a hole in it. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like if you are that guy, you're gonna be wasting away your life being a
Hmm.
software engineer. I mean, you probably could find bugs and things like that, but
Yeah.
that's not the highest value return on
Yeah.
your skill. Like, but there's some people who like, and that's the thing, is like just to bring it back together, it's like find you first.
Thank you.
The first thing and getting into tech is find you,
Yes.
then go find a job.
Yes.
And I'm so stubborn about this as well, where in between jobs, someone was really selling me hard on like health informatics and trying to get me to become like a data analyst of sorts. I literally refused and said no. Now, don't get me wrong, like if I get that job on a planet in an interview and I can pass it,
Hmm.
I would have done it. But I would rather spend more time getting better as a product manager than
Hmm.
even go spend time studying how to be that.
Yeah.
Because one, it's like, this is what I love. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So what did I do instead? I went and got my cloud practitioner at Google Cloud.
Okay.
Cloud Digital Leader is actually what it's called. I was also trying to get the cloud practitioner.
Hmm.
For some reason, my internal rebel just decided to choose Google. But then
Okay.
I got a job because of it. So it worked out.
Good.
And then and then everything just kind of started to pile up. So it's like, as a PM, what do I need? And I decided I needed to be more technical. I needed to
Hmm.
understand technical things better. And that
Hmm.
was going to give me my next level.
Yeah.
So it's like, even within whatever space you're in that you finally choose, you can always find growth opportunities. And even when you make lateral moves, so I had a friend who was in DevOps and then made the switch to become a sales engineer. Why? Because he doesn't like being on call. He hates
Hmm.
doing that repetitive thing, even though that's kind of like what he got into.
Hmm.
But then it was very logical and systematic,
Yep.
right? About, okay, I know the technical. I don't want to be as technical anymore. I don't want to be on call. What is the other thing that I can do? And also another one was he wanted to make a boat ton of money. And I was
Yeah.
like, sales engineering is what is going to get me there. See, and sometimes like it doesn't mean it's going to be easier anyway, but
Oh
being
no.
that focused on what it is that you want to do and what you're going to get out of it
Yeah.
makes a whole difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. Because like I said, DevOps for me was it. But now with ML ops, now that is what's going to be key because that's what everybody wants to come in, build these AI pipelines, and make sure like everything is good.
It's
And that's
running.
what I'm
Yep.
going for. So,
Yep.
and they evolve, right? These roles are going to continuously evolve. Your role's going to evolve.
Yep.
Everything's going to keep getting deeper, bigger, wider, more conceptually known and advanced. So, yeah, no, and you're always going to be a forever student. I consider myself a forever student. So,
Yep.
you're just always going to
The
learn. So, just,
learning don't stop.
yeah. So, pick something to start in, but know that you can grow from there and know it's okay. It's okay to pivot. Sometimes you just have to say that out loud because people feel like, oh, well, I had that same conversation with myself. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I sure? Because, I make decent money, but
Mm,
am I making the right decision? Because now I'm in the phase of I'm looking for my first engineering role, but I'm not
mm,
getting any hits. And so that has been another thing to deal with is rejection. And
mm,
I think that's not talked about a lot.
mm.
And especially because I was so gung ho and always talking about the less than 3%. But you have to also think about the opposite of, well, are they trying to keep me out? Am I
Uh,
not going to get an interview with the company? Is the rejections going to keep piling? And you have to work through that negativity as well. You
mm,
just have to keep going. So it's a journey. It's
mm.
going to test your emotions, and it's going to give
Yep.
you're not just going to grow in your career, you're going to grow as a person, you're going to
Yep.
grow emotionally, and it just doesn't come with a nice six-figure salary. It's like,
It comes with a whole lot of baggage too.
yes, it comes with a lot of sacrifice. And I'll finally get there, but I'll think about these nights and these weekends when I'm finally vacationing on a beach somewhere in a year or two.
And you know the funny thing is actually like you don't remember.
Yeah,
That is actually the weirdest part. It
yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah.
It doesn't. Like I'm saying this because like I've gone through a time in the past like 5, 6 years. And I know if I think about it now, I remember how I felt going through those things.
Hmm.
But now I don't care.
Yeah.
It
But
doesn't even matter.
you've grown from them and you use them for your next level, right?
Like in the moment, it feels like the most important thing is like I'm gonna look back on this day
Yeah,
and be
yeah,
no. Right now, I don't care.
yeah,
Like it
yeah.
doesn't matter as much as it did as I thought it would back then.
Hmm.
Not that I didn't forget, but
Yeah.
like it just like because now I'm not looking into the future. I'm thinking more like what happens in the future.
Yes. Yes.
So Chimereze had this question. I want to learn cloud engineering, but
Okay.
there's so much info online that I don't even know where to start or who to follow.
Mm. Good, good, great question. Same. Like I said before, I have so many Udemy courses. I can give them away for free. I've watched so many YouTube tutorials. But if you know cloud engineering is where you want to be, that's your journey, that's your destination, then now you need to focus on, well, what can you do to get there?
Hmm,
All the roadmaps. So definitely go check out a few cloud roadmap videos, how to get into cloud engineering. But typically, they all have the same type of format, which is learn the fundamentals, pick a cloud operating system you want to learn. We talked about GCP, Azure, or AWS, because that comes later. And then once you pick that designation, that's when you'll take off and know, okay, I need to add Kubernetes, or maybe I need Docker, or oh, I like DevSecOps, so maybe I want to do security. But if you're just getting started, you have to do the fundamentals.
yep.
Trust me, I tried to skip the fundamentals, it didn't turn out so well. So
Hmm,
once you conquer the fundamentals, and literally it'll take you a couple, probably a month or two, it
hmm,
won't take you too long. And
hmm,
then you start to get into the cloud platform, you'll start to get an idea of general which direction you want to go.
hmm. And the most important thing that I could add to that is not even where or who. It's the thing that you said, start. We put so much effort in like the perfect way to do it that we
Mhm.
actually don't do it.
Yes.
And it's interesting that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. And
Hmm.
as you put one foot in front of the other, the path will light up. The
Yes.
move, again, I'm not saying move without direction, but I'm saying like the direction does not matter as much as the movement.
Correct.
So it's like how like get clear, what's your roadmap, put it in chat GPT. You can literally figure
ChatGPT.
that out this moment.
Yep.
And if you build a roadmap, I have a video on YouTube that talks about how to build a career roadmap. I usually like to time box it, do 6 to 9 months. The beauty of it is by putting that time pressure on yourself, you actually get to go through it quicker and find accountability. She's already talked about all the great stuff to do, so I'm not even going to cover that again. But it's start and keep going.
I agree. It's start. I took too long to press the button many times. I still do. It is still a bad habit. But once you recognize it, call yourself out and start. That's it.
Start, start, start. Well, we're at time, but I do want to give you an opportunity to shout out, anyone, anything, any places to find you, where you want to connect, community, anyone who's inspired you, whatever it is. Feel free.
Well, I am Des in the Cloud. You can find me on TikTok at Des in the Cloud and also on YouTube. First video is coming out this week. That's where I'm going to be talking about my journey and just really just showcasing the other side of just outside of the material. I love
Mhm.
TikTok just for the AWS, but for the personal side and the late nights of me, because I'm not usually in this office. I'm usually got a plate on this side, a cup over here on the nightstand, and my laptop in my lap, in my room, sitting on my bed. Like that is where I dedicate 2 hours a night. I'm also starting a podcast of my own, and we would love to have you on, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lock me in.
It is called c- sorry, Commit
Commit
and
and slay.
Slay. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, Commit and Slay podcast, but it's my business partner Tia. She's in cybersecurity. She's gonna kill me for those cybersecurity comments, so I'll be in trouble for those. But and then I'm doing the cloud, but it's just us talking about Black women in history who have
Mm,
impacted tech that no one really talks about,
mm,
and just us breaking into tech and our roles and our journeys. So it
mm,
is a great show that'll be rolling out very soon.
mhm.
And always just hit me up on TikTok or any other platforms, Des in the Cloud, no spaces, all one word. And I'd love to connect. I would love to build a community, just to share our experiences and give that support. Sometimes you just need support that you can't always get from your family and friends, but you have your tech community who is here to support you. So,
Daz in the Cloud is certified. I heard. I said it. I said it. Go follow her everywhere. You being amazing. You're doing great work. I really appreciate you, and I wish you all the success. Like I know, like you don't even need the wishes, but I'll give you anyway because I know like you're on your way and you're gonna do amazing things.
thank you so much. Thank you. Same to you. I can't wait to see you in 5 years. I'm going to say hi. I hope you know me in 5 years when you're
We will be
an
connected
amazing
all through the 5 years.
entrepreneur.
But that's been the show for tonight. Really appreciate it. And I know that you guys also got a lot of value from it. This is kind of like the conversation's real, original. Nobody's faking anything, nobody's making anything up. It's to help you. And it does definitely does help me in the process as well. I really, really appreciate you for rocking with us. We'll be back again next Thursday with another amazing guest. Definitely lock in with us. We'll see you then. Have a good night.